So today we're doing some Charlie Christian lines, the beginning of lines, and basically lines are going to come out of chord tones. There's right here, I've just got the C chord right here. There's my root, my third, my fifth, my octave. So I hope you have a Merry Little Christmas as well. And these are my ledges, or these are the places that I can rest on, right? So I'm going to start with my C. And I start with my third to my C, right? Not a lot of jazz there. I mean, sure, the third is the third most important note. I'm going home to the root, which feels like I'm home base now, but there's no jazz. And jazz means to mess with. Try not to curse in these videos nowadays. So jazz means to mess with. And if you're messing with something, well, I ain't messing with nothing there. I could do a little bit of messing with it by just sliding into it. So at least it's not so I'm square. It's just kind of like I'm square. Instead of I am, I'm square. Cool. So I could slide into it. I could also hammer on into it. Cool, let's get a little louder here. But there ain't no jazz in this. Not that I don't do that all the time, but I don't expect that to sound jazzy. Slide, hammer. Remember, the hammer is just an insta-hammer. Not, right? How about if I, instead of just gracing through this note, whether I'm sliding or hammering, how about if I hit that note? Now I've got a little bit of tension, because this is kind of technically a wrong note, a flat third to the major third. So it's bluesy. You could even just do it in your chord. Cool. Then the next thing I'm going to do is come from above this, and the scale tone above this is the F, the amen note. Amen. There's really no jazz in that. So I could slide into this note above it. I could pull off, or I could actually hit it. So I've got tension from below, tension from above, resolution. Then I start putting together above, below, on it, home. Cool. Then I do the opposite. Below, above, on it, 10. I don't like this as much, because this is all the tension, then there's less tension, and then I'm home. I sort of like it better, because the flat third's the nastier note, where the F note is kind of the Chariots of Fire note. This is nastier, so I sort of like being nasty first. Or nasty last, where am I? Yeah. So the second line would go this. The second lick on the second line, not so crazy about that. Or, that's a little better. 8, 10. Okay, that's what I did. 8, 8, 10, hammer, 10. How about if I take the hammer out and actually hit the note? That's probably my favorite. Nah, take it back. This is my favorite. This is the last line on the second line. Last lick on the second line. That's my favorite. So I like that lick, so let's look at it a little bit. Anytime I go 8, 9, I could have done a hammer on. And since this lick goes 8, 9 once, 10, 8, 9, does it twice. I can have a couple of different possibilities here. I could do where I hammered on the second 8, 9. And that shortens the lick. Rather than 1 and 2 and 3 and, now it's 1 and 2 and 3. Because I took an eighth note out, because one of those hammer-ons became an instant note instead of an actual plucked note. Then I could hammer on the first one and still play the 8, 9 the second time. And the third lick on the third line would be to hammer them both. Cool. Now I'm going to start talking about how to slop this up. Double stops. If my note is E, the top note I could play to harmonize it would be this G, is the third. And the same thing goes for the hammer-on note. And when I hit the C, my harmonizing note is going to be the E. Cool. So third string, second string, third string, second string. And when I hit the F note, I could just harmonize it still with this G, especially when I'm playing chopsticks, but I'm going to smoosh it out and put my third finger in there. So this is 8, 9, 10, 8, 9, 10, and I'm just slopping it up. And if you try to keep these fingers, even if you hit 3 strings or 4 strings or 5 strings, well, don't. I guess you couldn't hit 5 strings because otherwise I'd have to use that finger. But you can just slop it up, and that way you don't have to worry too much about your accuracy and just sort of go for the groove of it. So that's how we could slop up these licks. And then the third line, starting on the first lick, slopped up wise, would be. Yeah, I screwed that one up, sorry. Then hammer on the first one, hammer on both of them. Like, that's really rockabilly. Cool. Then we get to the last lick on the third line. It's going to be the same lick that I've been harping on for the past 3.5 minutes, except it's not going to start on the 1. It's going to anticipate the lick. 1, 2, 3, 4. Instead of 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to start a little bit earlier. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it keeps you from I've got the blues kind of syndrome. Remember, the first beat of the measure, the most boring note. So the first thing you could do, instead of going 1, 2, 3, I got the blues, you can ba 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 ba. And those are called pickup notes. 1, 2, 3, I got the blues. So I'm still hitting the 1, or just wait for it. Wait for the 1 to pass and then say I got the blues. 1, 2, 3, 4. I got the blues. I got the blues. Or I got the blues. I got the blues. That time was a pickup note. So that just anytime you can keep less emphasis off the 1, the better, the jazzy it's going to sound. So here it's these same licks, but just anticipating each lick. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I can do that same lick with all those little hammer-ons. So I didn't write them out, so you'd have to go back through and do it. So I'm going to take the first lick on the third page, third line, 3, 4. 3, 4. And I'm just starting early. So that second one's the hammer-on. Now here the second lick, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3. So that time since I'm anticipating that, I rest on the first beat, whatever. Then I can go 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, hammer on both. So it'll just be that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4. End up like that, once again, by the time you should be at this level, you don't really need to worry too much about all the different little variations you could do. It's not about the minutia, it's more about the big picture. And because it is all finite, there's only 12 notes, there's only so many things I can do with these licks. But if I'd thought about all the possibilities, I probably would go a little nutty. So this is the fourth line, first lick. I'm going to add in my fifth. So I'm going to go flat third, major third, fifth, then come back to my fourth, flat third, major third, root. Now there's a lot of 8 9s in there. In fact, there's 2 of them. Anytime I go 8 9 between the flat third and the major third, I can insta hammer it on. So that's the second one. Sorry. Then the third lick on that fourth line starts with a hammer on. Then the last lick on that line does them both of them with a hammer on. Then the fifth line is going to take this same lick, but displace it and move it up. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it starts on the upbeat. 3, 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and. It ends on the upbeat versus 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. That's pretty square. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Started on an upbeat, ended on downbeat, ended on upbeat, downbeat. It's all very down. And then when I displace it, 3, 4. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Cool. Then I start doing these same things, but with some hammer-ons. 3, 4. Then at any time you could just sort of hang on a note forever, or a beat, or whatever. 3, 4. 2. I just sort of hang on that note. And then undo. And that takes us to our second to last line when I talk about alternate endings. So far, every lick that we've learned today has ended on do. Why? Because I said do. You do it because I said do. Because we got to end somewhere when we're starting this stuff out. And that's the strongest ending, but it's also the weakest ending because it's the most boring ending. I could have ended on the fifth. So let's say we take the first lick from the fourth line. And I'm just going to, instead of ending on C, I'm going to end on G. You know them both. Cool. Why did I end on G? Because I said so. I could have ended on the C, high C. Sorry. Try to keep your hands down there as much as possible because you never know when you want to slop this up. By the way, if I hit this G note, I would slop it up by doing the C up there. So before we even get to these alternate endings, you should go through these last couple licks that we did before the alternate endings and slop them up. Good. And that was that right there. That was just a real sloppy way to play the fourth line. Top C. Yeah, that's right. Cool. Then the third alternate ending is the fifth. So back to the root. Taking this lick. Cool. So now I'm making this lick a little longer. And go through all the variations where the hammer-ons could go through. The next ending could be 5, back to low do or root. Cool. Once again, with all the slopped ups or with the displacements, all of a sudden we've got a whole new set of licks. Then you could end on the root, but then rake up to the top root. Sorry. Cool. We could do a little major pentatonic. G, the root, the fifth, the sixth, and the root. Something like that. Cool. Here's the last line. Cool. Here's the second lick on that page on the last line. The first note is a rest. It looks like a 7. It's an 8th note rest. 1. And that's a triplet. 1. And triple it. 3. 1. Usually it's a 16 note triplet. Nice and fast. Last lick on this page. A little slower. 8, 9, 8, 10, 8, 10.